This is the Operation Self Reset podcast, and now it's time to reset your life. Hello and welcome back to Operation Self Reset. This is podcast episode number 9. And last time we spoke in episode number 8, I finished up the episode in saying that the next time I would be speaking to you guys would be on July 4th of 2013. And obviously that's a lie because I am speaking to you guys July 1st of 2013. The reasoning is because I have an interview for you guys. His name is Wadden. Maybe some of you heard of him, maybe you guys have not. I have personally been following him for about 6-7 months now. And the reason I have been is because he has a project that he is currently deep into, and it's called Millionaire by 25. And when he turned 23 years old, he decided to proclaim that he wanted to make $1 million within 2 years. And the reason why he wanted to make $1 million is because he wanted to financially retire his parents from the rat race of life. And it was super inspiring to me the first time that I ran into, I believe it was one of his videos, and it was his first video that he put online, and it was him sitting in his room, I believe with his iPhone, and he told the whole world that he wanted to make $1 million in 2 years. He has no previous business experience. He had no current business projects going on. Literally, he was starting from ground zero. He was starting with nothing but only a goal, and he wants to accomplish that within 2 years. That's when I was like, geez. I mean, think of it to yourself. How many times have you set a goal personally, and you kept it to yourself because you don't want too many people to find out about it? You don't want to really let it out there in space because you were afraid, oh man, what if my best friend hears about this? Or what if, so-and-so hears about this? Oh, I'm going to feel embarrassed. And what are they going to think? Are they going to be rooting for me? Or are they going to be against me? But this guy went online on YouTube and proclaimed it to the world. And that's when I got hooked. And I have been following his journey ever since. He is currently about 1.5 years into the project. He has until January of 2014 to complete his project, which will be gaining $1 million within 2 years. And like I said, this guy has nothing. He started from nothing but an idea and a goal and a finish line, but he had no structure in place, and simply mind-blowing. Spectacular guy. You guys got to go check it out. It's millionaireby25.com. It's a blog. It's a website. He tells his whole journey. He has multiple videos with the people that have influenced him and gave him direction in obtaining his $1 million. So it's awesome, and I'm so honored to have him on the podcast because, like I said, I've been following him for about 6-7 months, and I previously, when I started this podcast, I put him on the list to interview, and I sent out an email to him, and he didn't get back to me. And one of his default emails was, you know what, I'm just busy. I'm trying to reach my goal. I'll give you guys my time after the 2 years. And I thought, you know what, perfect. After his 2-year stint, I'll try to get back in contact with him. But currently, he is trying to raise money for a documentary that he wants to launch worldwide to give people inspiration and give them motivation and everything that I'm trying to release to you guys, but in a more of a personal journey form, and giving you guys the tools and letting you know that you can start literally from nothing, but with only a goal in mind and achieve it. He was looking for a platform to raise money for his documentary, and I sent him another email, and I just let him know about the podcast and how well it's doing. And for all you guys out there listening, I want to let you know I am currently ranked in the top 150 podcasts in the iTunes store, which is absolutely awesome. I could not believe it. I saw a huge jump in the number of downloads, and I was like, oh, okay, that's, really not really weird, but it was kind of like, oh, it's a little out of the norm. And so I checked recently, and I was 138. And, every day, every minute actually fluctuates a little bit. So I've been bouncing around from like 119 to like 156. And it's been crazy cool. And that's in all categories. That's just not in the self-help area. So I am truly blessed. And thank you guys so much for listening. And also, too, I just want to reach out and say thank you so much to the people that have sent me emails asking for suggestions and tips. For example, we had Angela. She asked, how can I increase my just overall personal self? I feel like I'm a 6, but I want to get to a 10. how do I do that, Jake? And she reached out to me. She really poured her heart and soul to me. And I feel I gave her some great tips and great insight on how to reach her goal of getting the most out of life and following her true passion, finding that within herself. Great, remarkable story. Natalie, if you're listening, I know you're in LA right now. It's tough. It's down and dirty, and you got to go out there and do the hustle. But I know you have it within yourself. And last time we spoke, I believe I ended the email with tough times never last, tough people do, and you are a tough cookie. So keep at it. Keep doing your thing. And I hope you got some value out of that last email. And the last person I want to finish up with is Kyle. And Kyle has an amazing job. Things are going great for him, but he doesn't feel that this is the position that he wants to take for the rest of his life. He feels like there's more to it. He wants to go explore and do some other things that are off the beaten path, and he feels, is that the right thing to do? Even though his gut is telling him one thing, maybe he should do the other, or vice versa. Kyle, I will get back to your email. Got a lot of stuff going on currently, so after July 4th, expect something from me. So many of you guys reached out to me, and those were just a couple of snippets. If you guys want to get mentioned on the podcast, if you guys want to get a personal email from me, you guys got to go to support@operationselfreset.com and let me know what's going on in your life. If you're having issues, if you're having difficulty, if your confidence is lacking, you feel you have greatness within, don't know how to find it, or you have something that's so great, but you know it's not for you, let me know. Hopefully I can give you guys a couple of suggestions to guide you on the right path. This is all about resetting our lives, taking the journey less taken. And you know what? Every minute we live is another step closer to our final single day. So why not put it all out there? You know what? No holding back. Don't save those aces for a rainy day. Put them out on the table and see what happens, because you never know where your life's going to take you. So much thanks from the bottom of my heart to you guys out there listening. This has been awesome. I'm so thankful you guys reaching out to me, and I hope I inspired you to do what you have to do to transform your life in the direction that you want to go. There is no question too big, too small. I actually just received an email from a gentleman. I don't want to mention his name because it's quite the story he laid on me, and it was almost overwhelming. And he even started the email with, "This might be too much, but I have to ask you because you said ask anything." And I love that, and that was awesome. And you know what? I'm here to listen, and I'm here to give advice, and that's what I do. So if you have a crazy question, let me know, and I will bounce it back at you and give you some valuable insight on how to tackle that thing, whatever it is. So let's go into the interview right now. We have Corey Wadden from Millionaire by 25. He wants to receive, gain, make, whatever, $1 million within 2 years. He started this project at 23 years old. He is a year and a half in, and let's hear what he has to say about life, motivation, and keeping his eyes on the prize. Here we go. Thanks so much. We'll catch you at the end of the interview. Corey, thank you so much for coming on the podcast here. Really do appreciate your time. You're a busy guy. You going out there and proclaiming that you want to gain $1 million in 2 years is a huge goal. Where did this truly come from? And wouldn't you mind explaining that to us?
Yeah, none at all. It is a very selfless goal, even though it sounds like a very selfish goal when you hear Millionaire by 25. It really came from my mom. We didn't have a lot of money growing up. She raised my brother and I on her own. And they're actually from this town. It's on an island called Cape Breton Island in Nova Scotia, which is also in Canada. And it was known for its railway industry, but predominantly its coal mining industry, and then a little bit of the fishing industry. So my family was really heavily rooted in the coal mines. And when those closed down, my parents were like the children of the coal miners, you know? And so they realized there wasn't a lot of opportunity. It's a super small town. So they moved out west to have my brother and myself. So when they split when I was pretty young, my mom predominantly raised us, and she often had to work jobs. You know, they dropped out of high school in grade 7 and in grade 8. So they have no education really at all, just a pretty intense work ethic. And, they had my brother pretty young. So it just became a struggle, man, like the whole time growing up. And I've always wanted to be an actor, which, you're either like dirt broke or filthy rich. There's not really like an in between.
Sure.
And so when my mom was at risk of losing her job, I just knew I had to do something because I didn't leave her struggle. And I thought, how can I do this? And I just sat at home one night and I was thinking, okay, what if I gave myself 2 years to earn $1 million? And I feel that'd be enough to retire my mom, at least for a long time. Maybe not for the rest of her life, but for a long time. And if I can carry that kind of work ethic over, I think she'll be fine.
For sure. Now, when you said this to your mom, what was her reaction? Was she like, yes, I was waiting for you to do this? Or was it like, you're crazy, I support you, but, you just got to do what makes you happy? I mean, what was her reaction when you said this to her?
Well, she's so used to being a provider that
Sure.
she wasn't just like, okay, take care of me, and that's basically what I was trying to tell her. So she's very stubborn. So she says, no, I think you should go to school, and I think that you should go pursue something, and don't worry about me and all that kind of stuff. And it's only recently that she's starting to believe that, holy cow,
Yeah.
maybe in less than a year I could be traveling and doing all this kind of fun stuff. So she's come around to it a lot more recently, I'd say.
For sure. Now, the biggest thing that I wanted to talk to you about is when you told your mom about this, obviously you probably talked to her about doing this project before you went online and did that little quick video of saying, I want to make $1 million within 2 years.
Yeah.
When you finally did kind of gather yourself and sit down and record that and really put your stake in the ground, what was going through your head? Like, were you nervous? Like, were people going to accept this? Were they going to make fun of me? Did you not care? Did you know that this was your next step in life? What was going through your mind personally?
Well, I definitely had a little bit of insecurity about it.
Sure.
But I could say the one thing that worked in my favor to obviously get me to where I am now is the fact that I always felt like a bit of an outsider because I had been to like 13 schools by the time I finished high school. So I didn't have time to form any real serious friendships. It was just a bunch of acquaintances. So I was just always used to constantly being in a new environment, constantly feeling like an outsider. And when that happens, you don't really fear anyone making you feel like an outsider because you've always felt like that. So in that way, that instability actually worked in my favor for doing it. But yeah, I mean, of course, I felt a little bit insecure about it because it's a vulnerable feeling to broadcast yourself out to the world like that. But I think because it was a selfless goal, I didn't have an issue with it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Now, I tip my hat to you. That is so cool that you did that. A lot of us listening to this podcast, or even myself, it's tough to proclaim that I want to do something that big. I mean, that's a very big goal. 2 years is a quick time in reality, so that's a lot of like internal pressure a lot of other people would feel, but that's awesome that you decided to do that. Now, when you started on your journey, you talked about that you didn't have really any mentors growing up and stuff like that. And early in the process, you read a lot of books, right? I mean, you caught your hands on a lot of different stuff, articles, trying to get the ball rolling. I know your first step was meeting with one of your old bosses who was a millionaire or something along that lines. But what was another tool that you really utilized that kind of moved you in the right direction?
Geez, tool. Oh,
yeah, I mean, there's so many.
The interview, man. I think it's the interview. Seriously.
Really? Okay.
But you have to understand the context of that. Okay, so let me give you a little bit of a history. So prior to starting this challenge, I was fired from a door-to-door sales company that I had worked for 3 years because I was underperforming, and it got to a point where I was just like, and that thing with my mom, I felt really demotivated because that whole thing was actually working to help her as it was. So I already kind of was working towards helping my mom out. And then I was just fed up, man. I was like, I'm 23 years old. I've always wanted to be an actor. And here I am, sacrificing that a little bit to try and help out. And I wasn't thinking big enough. So I lost my motivation, man. I was burning out after 3 years, not seeing the fruits of the labor, so to speak. It was too long. So the interesting thing is after I got fired, here I am calling him up, a couple weeks later saying, hey, I know you just, fired me, but can you meet with me? I have a couple questions to ask you. And, God loved the guy. He was super supportive and met with me. And he's the one that gave me the tools to start off, man. He gave me a couple book suggestions. He referred me to another outlier, and it just went from there. Like, thing is, though, now in retrospect, when people meet me, they think I'm like someone who has all of this knowledge, but like I had no knowledge whatsoever about business, nothing,
Yeah.
I mean, I had been a sales coach, so I knew how to talk to people, but beyond that, nothing. So that just goes to show for anyone's listening in, like if you are trying to take on something, even if it's completely out of your element, you can really do it in a short amount of time. But as far as resources go and tools, I really just made sure that I was just taking selective ignorance, meaning only taking advice from people that had what I wanted. And that would include my former boss and the people he introduced me to. And then from there on out.
Sure, sure. Now, one thing I talk a lot about in this podcast is motivation, self-inspiration, self-confidence, all that stuff. There must be times during this journey, obviously it's not complete yet, but I mean, you're doing a lot of things, you're moving around, you're meeting people. How do you personally keep yourself really focused and dialed in? Obviously, you have a bigger goal, you're trying to reach it, but there must be some days you wake up and you're just burnt out. You're just like, this isn't working. Maybe that one thing you tried doing didn't go as planned.
Yeah.
What did you do personally to kind of keep yourself amped up?
Well, I never had a demotivated feeling.
Okay.
The only kind of feeling that I had was, am I doing the right thing? That was the only issue I had. To be honest, I don't think there's been one moment over these 2 years where I felt like giving up or even not wanting to get out of bed. It's weird. So I think the why is just big enough. I think the public accountability that it created a fire under my ass, because you know that a bunch of people are going to call you out if you don't hit it. So that's inspiration for you. So I guess.
Well, and also too, you have a big social network around you to kind of keep that inspiration going. Like, I'd imagine you got fan mail that people are like, I'm so inspired by you. And then that inspires yourself to keep on going.
Yeah.
Is that true? Yeah.
Well, at the beginning, it wasn't like that. It was like, it was the people trying to discourage me from trying something like that, which is funny, but it's that whole effect of like, once people see other people getting involved, they want to get involved and they want to, be on your side about it. But yeah, I think public accountability thing is huge. I think knowing my why, I think that book I created, the dream book, of just like all the things that I want in my life, that those tools really, there's never a moment where I don't feel inspired or motivated, but I think it's because it's beyond me.
Sure. Now that dream book, do you mind going into that a little more? I personally know what it's about. People listening might not. Do you mind kind of going on talking about that?
Sure. So for those listening, you guys may know about like a vision board where you take like a piece of Bristol board and you put pictures of the things you want to be, do, and have on it. And you put it on your wall and you look at it and you pray to it or whatever you want to do. But for me, I thought that worked and it did, but I wanted something that I could really take with me wherever I went to kind of keep me on track for those moments that you were talking about.
Sure.
And there's something that is crazy that happens when you really try and fill 100 pages with things you want to be, do, and have. Like, you may think like, okay, I want necessarily know why you want it. And you don't know like how much it would cost, and you don't know all of these different areas of your life. And when you start to fill in, even 10 pages is probably more than 99% of people have done before. So it really comes down to that, man. It comes down to really, really being specific about what you want. And that's why this book's so powerful.
Yeah. How long ago did you write that before starting this project? Was this something you always had, or you always kind of grew it?
No, it was actually 6 months in.
Wow.
June.
Okay.
June, yeah. And it's pretty direct correlation of when the really more exciting things have started happening in the journey. It correlates directly with when I made that book.
Sure. Yeah, one of the things I saw was you wanted to meet Tim Ferriss, for example, and then you met him, and you were just looking at your book and like, I'm going to see him, and he's in my book right now. I mean, it was just really cool to see the connection that happened, because of that. But that's awesome stuff. Throughout your journey here, what personally have you found that changed within yourself? Did you become more self-confident? I mean, obviously we already talked about some of your feelings, but was there one specific thing that from where you are today, from when you started this project, that you have changed internally?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. I think the belief level has risen dramatically. Like before this, I'd always question, can I do this? It's changed now to, do I want to do this? Because I'm confident that if I put as much energy as I did into this, into anything, I'll be successful. And that rings true for anybody. If you put like the amount of effort in, people overestimate their competition. You need to underestimate your competition, because oftentimes you psych yourself out of doing things because you think people are going to outperform you or whatever the excuse may be. But if you put that much persistence and dedication into anything, you'll succeed at it. But the question is, your time is really limited on earth. And is it what you want to spend your time doing? That's what it comes down to. So that's the biggest change, I'd say.
Yeah, okay. Now, that kind of leads into one of my other questions I had, and maybe it's the same answer. But if I was to come up to you and say, Corey, and we're good buddies, you know what? I don't want to get $1 million in 2 years, but I'm just looking for something to change my life. I'm looking for a new path in life. What would you suggest to me? Like, what's one area I could improve, or one area I could, try to reach for? Do you have a suggestion like that?
In business or your personal life, or both?
I guess both. I mean,
Both,
a new direction, business and just finding my true calling, whatever.
Sure. Yeah, I would say like the fundamental question that I kind of had to ask myself, and that I think people should ask themselves. I think it's like a Robbins thing. It's, is your life goal to sit on a beach, or is it to change the world? And it can be a combination of both, but you should decide like what percentage of each it is, if that makes sense.
For sure.
So really figure out, because when you do try and change the world, oftentimes that can lead to a completely different lifestyle than somebody who would want to sit on a beach, because you want to sit on the beach, you can create a business that isn't necessarily going to change the world, but could create passive income for you, and you can go have the freedom to travel and just live. Or if you really want to make an impact and be remembered for something, then that might be a different path. So I think that's like the fundamental thing you have to ask yourself. And then from there, figure out why you want to do it, and then do something like this. Figure out like, who do you want to meet? What are the things you want to own? What's like the bucket list items you want to get off your list? What's your dream partner look like? What are the qualities of character that you want to have? And I think the book Psycho-Cybernetics is like probably the best book for figuring that out. That and Mastery, I would say, are two killer books on the subjects.
Okay, cool. Now let's kind of go into the reason why you're looking for additional help in something here that deals with the project. Do you mind telling us kind of what you have going on now that you need help with?
Sure. So right now I'm releasing a crowdfunding campaign for my documentary. I think this film is really important for people to see, especially young entrepreneurs or young people trying to make a difference, but anyone really. And I wanted to inspire them. I want people to watch it and say, okay, this is what may happen when you go after an incredible goal, of that magnitude. And this is what to expect as far as like the ups and downs along the way. And I really don't think that the downs outweigh the ups. And I want people to see that. So like the element of mystery when you want to take on something big is removed. Sure. And it'd be feel good. It's a feel good story. A son trying to retire his mom. So I think the film is needed because me being raised mainly by media, because my mom was always working. I was always watching movies and TV and things like that. Like that was my form of escapism. I know if there are more films and projects like this that will, while entertaining them, I think that, this world would be a better place, in my opinion. So yeah, I think the film definitely needs to be told. And all of my funds for the remaining 6 months that I have left in this challenge has to go all to reinvesting into the businesses. So I can't afford to pay, like, people don't realize how much money it is to actually make a documentary or make a film.
I believe it.
So I'm aiming to get $25,000 raised from people like you and I to make this film a reality. Because if it isn't, I don't know, I'm going to have to do something, but I can't own anymore. I need help. I need a professional crew. So that is what I'm looking for.
Okay, and when is that going to be launched?
That's going to be launched early July, tentatively July 3rd, which is next Wednesday. Yeah.
And now that's going to be on Kickstarter, correct? Is that the only platform?
No, it'll be on Indiegogo, because Indiegogo is like a Canadian one.
Oh, okay.
They're pretty much the exact same thing, just Kickstarter's a little iffy with Canadian campaigns.
Okay, fair enough.
They are.
Now, you talking about a couple of the businesses, all the money has to go back in the businesses. Do you mind telling us what you have done to raise or get close to that $1 million goal?
Yeah, sure. So I've been working on several projects. The first year I tried like this fashion startup, didn't pan out at all. I was bootstrapping a lot, door to door, selling everything under the sun. I had started like an online website that I thought would be like user curated content. And I thought, maybe throwing ads in that would make some money. Didn't really pan out. And then eventually I just like, I think it was about the 6 month mark, man, where I thought, maybe I should start to delve into apps and ebooks. And that's really been my main focal point since then, has been apps and ebooks.
Cool.
So, but people don't, oh, well, I mean, your businesses are making sales and stuff, how come you can't use that money? Well, if you're in business, people who are, savvy in business, and you really want to make aggressive growth in a short amount of time, you better be reinvesting every penny. So it's definitely a struggle, but yeah, they're doing well. They're doing well right now. I have several apps in the top 1,000 in the overall store, like nice. 2 or 3 right now.
Cool.
They don't necessarily make as much money as you think they would, but.
And I know you have numerous apps too, right? It's not like 2 or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, you have like a company and then you have a lot of apps surrounding it, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So I follow Chad Moretta's strategy. He's got a great book called App Empire. Awesome guy. And he really lays it out for you for how to make successful apps.
Let's take a step back before you kind of got into the app and ebook and stuff. You said there was a couple of projects that you thought would work, they didn't. Mm-hmm. Were you kind of, I mean, everybody thinks like an idea, oh, this is going to be my $1 million idea, whatever. It doesn't work out. Obviously, you kept bouncing and bouncing until you found something that stuck. Mm-hmm. What was going on when you realized a couple of these in the early on, it didn't work out? Were you kind of freaking out like, oh man, my time's a ticking, I'm wasting time? Were you kind of getting all amped up and kind of nervous and thinking, oh boy, this might not pan out that well?
Yeah, I was definitely worried. I had a moment right around the 6 month mark, once again, a pivotal moment where I left the city. My friend told me, he's like, you know what? You're too caught up in the day to day. Get out, look at things from an aerial perspective, bird's eye view. And I went to this really nice place about an hour away with these waterfalls and these trails. And I went out and I just cleared my head, man. And I thought, does it feel right what I'm doing? Am I confident in it? And it was an overwhelming no. And I came back and I met with a couple of people that I wanted to get into business with potentially. And we spent 2 days kind of with whiteboards going over all the options for moving forward for business ideas.
There was a podcast earlier on about meetups and getting out there and finding like-minded individuals and stuff like that. You being in this type of mindset and knowing that you had a goal at the end obviously kind of got you in the position to just go out there and extend your hand, meet people, find the right people for the position and job or whatnot. Do you have a suggestion for somebody that's starting out new and feeling like, I don't know if I want to get myself out there. I feel intimidated by other people. I don't feel like I'm worthy enough to go and extend my hand and meet people. And what am I going to say? Do you have some information and tips that you can share with the people that are feeling insecure about going out there and meeting people?
Sure, absolutely. I think the baby approach to do it is to always get introduced by somebody. And, if you're going to an event, maybe have someone kind of have you tag along and then get introed that way and kind of piggyback. I think that's huge. I think reading the book Never Eat Alone by Keith Ferrazzi is a dope book on that subject, probably the best I've read.
Cool.
But I would say about the whole fear thing, there's this quote, everything you want is on the other side of fear, and it's true. And there's no reason to be afraid because everyone feels that way, and we're all kind of in this life together. And, it's the whole concept of everybody being in this planet circulating around, in the middle of space. We're a lot more alike than we tend to give ourselves credit for. Sure. And if you just look at it that way and say everyone's just a person and everyone's trying to figure themselves out, and I don't think anyone has it all figured out. So I think the sooner you realize that and just accept it, the better you'll feel about just going out and saying what you believe in, because you got to get your name out there in one way, shape, or form. And I think, once again, for me, I made my shit really public, pardon my language.
Yeah, it's all right.
But you don't have to do that. You can have a friend, maybe a hard-ass friend that you go to, and he'll be your accountability partner. And even that alone, studies have shown through, there's this one, I think it's the University of Wisconsin's, the one really good study on it says, it's 4 times the performance if you have an accountability partner and you just give them progress updates once a week. those two things alone will be insane. And if you're feeling insecure about meeting new people, those are things you can discuss with your accountability partner, but people, if you're in your apprenticeship phase, just be open to all those feelings because it's part of the process and everybody goes through it.
Yeah, no, that's huge points and great suggestions on how to do that. And you're right. I mean, not everybody has to go online and proclaim what they want to do.
Yeah.
But you know what, though? That will keep the fire under your butt because, yeah, man, I'm like still like smiling from it because it's like when I started this project, Operation Self Reset, I knew personally I wanted to help people that were in the same position as myself and everything like that. And when I saw your video, I'm like, gosh, I mean, I was like, you're trying to imagine myself saying that to everybody and my coworkers and friends. And I know I would be getting harassed and made fun of and stuff. So,
yeah.
I mean, I tip my hat to you. You're awesome, awesome guy. How can people get in touch with you?
Sure. There's several forms. I think the easiest form would be Facebook. That's kind of like my journal for the whole thing. So facebook.com/millionaire by 25, number 25. The website millionaireby25.com, but Facebook's probably the best way.
Okay. All right. Perfect. And one last question. Are you going to hit your goal of $1 million come 2014?
I definitely intend to, yes.
Perfect. That was the mindset of a true millionaire right there. Corey, man, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. I wish you nothing but the best. And also, too, I personally want to donate $100 towards your project.
Wow.
I wish you nothing but the best, man. You have personally inspired me to take action, and for that, I hope it works out, and I hope this documentary gets made and really helps a lot of people out there. Because there's at the bottom, also too, you guys can go to Corey's website, and he has a resource link at the bottom. There's some videos and movies that you personally found inspiring, correct?
Absolutely.
And I know for sure that this documentary will be on somebody else's resources down the road. So, man, great job. Keep on kicking butt. And I can't wait to see your progress for the next couple months here.
Thanks, man. It means a lot.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. It was fun.
Well, appreciate it. Well, we'll keep in touch, and thanks again, Corey.
Yep, sounds good.
Wow, what a great interview. So much very good knowledge in there. A lot of notes. You guys can go check them out at operationselfreset.com/podcast 009. There you can find all of Corey Wadden's quotes and links to books and different things that he talked about in this interview. Very powerful, some great insight for people out there that need a little assistance in getting started, finding their goals, setting them. And you know what? For the people that do not have a vision board or anything else, make sure you guys start filling out your dream book today. I'm going to try to put a PDF together, something you guys can, maybe start typing a few things that you crave or want in your life, and then you can drag and drop some pictures to go along with the sayings, quotes, and or ideas. So it's a very powerful tool. It might sound simple to some of you people that are not familiar with it, but I would highly suggest it. And obviously, it has really helped Corey in his endeavors and process of going towards $1 million within 2 years. Make sure you guys also check out Indiegogo.com come July 3rd. He will be launching his crowdsourcing campaign. Make sure if you have a couple extra bucks, throw it his way. If not, you know what, just be a supporter. Maybe write a couple of things on his blog and or on his Facebook page. His Facebook page is the same as his website, Millionaire by 25. Go check him out. Great, amazing guy, down to earth. And it's an honor to have him on the podcast. I think he brought you guys some great value and just amazing content that we can use right now. Now, also, too, you guys can go check out operationselfreset.com/tips. And there you're going to find all of the tips that I pulled away from Corey Wadden's interview just now. Actually, when I was re-listening to the interview and jotting down a couple of things, it turned into like 30 items. So this tip jar might be kind of full on this one, but I'll try to scrape through and just find the best of the best that we can use instantly to enhance our lives and streamline it. So there you guys go. I really do appreciate your guys' time taking a listen to the podcast. Again, I'm so blessed to have you guys on my side listening to this. If you have any questions, anything you need, and like Corey Wadden said, you know what, maybe have somebody be your personal accountability guy. And you know what, if nobody is out there and if your mom and dad are busy and your best friend is booked, Lean on me. I'm here for you guys. If you want to reach out to me and say, you know what, Jake, I want to set my goal, ABC, I will be there every step of the way to help you guide and get through that process. I want you guys to succeed. I was not in a good spot when I started this podcast. Things are going actually quite well. I'm going to give you guys a podcast update, and also too, I'm going to try to pull away from these interviews, but they're so fun. They're so valuable. I'm getting a lot of great things out of it. That's why I think I keep reaching out to people and interviewing them because I get so much too. But yet I need to pull it back in and tell you guys some personal events along my journey here, because that's why I started this project. But anyway, enough about me. The next time you're going to be hearing my voice will be in a couple days, July 4th. When I started this podcast, I always knew I wanted to interview somebody from the military. It didn't matter who. It was just, July 4th, Independence Day. I thought it would be the right things to do. I have a great, deep passion and thankful spirit for the members of our armed services. And I thought, why not get somebody on here and tell us what the military has taught them that they can use in their daily lives? And I am very blessed to share with you guys. I don't know. Should I tell you? Do you want to know? We have a Medal of Honor recipient coming on the podcast. I guess I'll tell you his name, Michael Thornton. He received the Medal of Honor in 1972 for his actions in Vietnam. He also is one of the original members of SEAL Team 6. Amazing. Just had the interview today. The guy is just awesome. So make sure you set a couple of minutes, probably an hour aside, and listen to this great interview. And on the greatest day of our country, July 4th, 2013, it's going to be a special day, not only because it's Independence Day, but also too because we have Michael Thornton, the recipient of the Medal of Honor. My gosh, there's only about 80 living Medal of Honor recipients in the U.S. currently, and there's only been about 3,400 of these medals given out. So it's a true honor to have him on the podcast. I can't even believe it. It was so funny when I was putting his contact in my phone. You write a little something about somebody if I met myself, Jake Naraki, podcast dude, whatever. So I was writing in Michael Thornton, and then I was like Navy SEAL. It was just crazy. Jeez, so I never thought in a million years this would happen. I am very blessed. But anyway, it's going to be an awesome podcast. Looking forward to it. And also, too, for my international listeners, I am very proud of where I was born, the United States. And I know you guys listening, wherever you are from, have the greatest respect for your own country. And I salute you guys, too, and to your own armed services, men and women out there. Anybody that fights for their country deserves hats off, standing ovation, because it is an amazing thing to give back to your country. So if you guys have a second, please go to iTunes, leave a review for Operation Self Reset Podcast. It'd be greatly, greatly appreciated. Love it or hate it, either way, take the time, and I personally thank you from the bottom of my heart. Also, too, like I told you guys in the beginning of the podcast, if you need anything in your life, I mean literally anything, send me an email, support@operationselfreset.com, and let me know what's going on with you. Last time I asked for you guys to send me emails, I got 35 responses, which is just awesome. I've been hustling, trying to send responses back. Please don't feel that, he's not going to get back to me or whatever. I am a one-man show. This is all coming from my fingertips, from my brain to my fingertips, to sending it across the World Wide Web into your mailbox. Some great, helpful information. And let's connect, man. I'd love to hear what's going on with you. And it'll only make this podcast better and better. And I want to leave you guys with a little motivational tip. Just like Corey Wadden stated in the podcast, everything you want is on the other side of fear. So true. Whatever you guys are doing, whatever happens in your life currently, fear is going to get on the way of it. But you know what? You can get past that. Don't let fear hold you back. Life is short and precious, like I always talk about, and maybe I overstate it, but it is so true. Take a second, and who cares? if you get embarrassed? Who cares if people are going to say that's not a good idea or this or that? Who really cares? You know what? Because at the end of the day, if you make yourself happy, that's all that really matters. And everything else will fall into place. Guys, thank you again so much. Take it easy, and we will catch you on July 4th. God bless you all. Good night.